Can I coach you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
You gotta relax more.
relax. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean,
It's 5 o'clock.
Well, we did just have some interesting things happen before the live stream.
You're always gonna have come on.
Yeah.
Life happens, then the camera's cut on.
Yeah. Hank, I've known you for like 7, 8 years. Thanks for
We
doing
worked.
the
Used to
show.
work together.
Yeah, we worked together for a while. I mean, we still will work together.
I
We're
hope
working
so.
together right now.
God willing.
And today I want to talk about how you got to where you are and kind of your career path and give people actionable advice.
You want to do more than that. So I've been coaching Blake. This show is about having you have a breakthrough. Everybody who gets in the media, they got into it and they found their path. You don't need to find the path. It's been found. Blake is here. I'm helping Blake uncover the mission to his own show. The mission is to actually help you understand that you don't have to start from scratch.
Right.
You don't have to, I mean, dude, I don't know about you, dude. When I started, there was no internet. I didn't even know how to start where do I find any ideas at all to start? So this show is very much needed. Always watch Blake. He's very smart. He knows everything. Blake's biggest problem, as you'll see, is he's too smart and he wants to talk about all the details and the tiny shit and he doesn't actually zoom out to see the big picture. This show is Blake attempting to coagulate, assimilate, get ideas and pattern recognition, and pass that on to you. Go.
That's right. That's why you're here.
Yes.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
You've done this for a lot of people.
I have.
Grant Cardone, Mel Robbins, Nancy Fuller, Ish Major, even Janine Pirro.
Even Judge Janine.
Judge Janine. And so, can you tell us kind of where you started? What was?
I always wanted to be in TV.
Yeah.
I watched the Dick Van Dyke Show, and everybody is way too young for this. They sat in a Dick Van Dyke, Maury Amsterdam, Sally, what was her name? They sat in a writer's room. They wrote for a late night. I don't know if you know this.
Of the show.
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke Show, when he wasn't home with his wife,
Tripping over the ottoman.
He went to work, and work for him was sitting in a room with 3 writers.
I actually didn't know that was the premise of the show.
And I'm like, that's cool. Like, who doesn't want to write jokes? And I wanted to get into television from watching the Dick Van Dyke Show. So I always wanted to work in television, and I almost always have.
And so, what steps did you take when did college? Did you do anything like that, or did you kind of skip over? What did you do to get your first?
Even if there was, my dad and pressure wasn't going to allow me to major in whatever that major was, and I didn't know a school, or I wasn't smart enough to find a school where that would prepare you for that. So I got an English degree, and then when I left college, I was like, oh, like everybody, right? You graduate and you're like, what am I doing?
Right.
And literally 12 years of school and 4 years of college, well, 4.5, whatever.
Same.
Whatever.
5.
Whatever. And then you're like, none of that has actually prepared me to get a job. Right. So I left, I went to Westchester University outside of Philly. I had a friend that I knew, I literally was running from my landlord because I didn't pay my last month's rent. So I got a U-Haul, I put all my crap in that U-Haul, and I drove down to DC and lived above my friend's garage rent-free for most of my life in DC, where I said, okay, now I'm gonna break into television.
In DC.
I'm going to break into TV. What am I doing?
Right.
How do you do that? What am I doing? And the only thing I could think of, this is genius, by the way, it worked then, it didn't work the second time. Temping was just started. Temping was the new thing. And I was like, I interviewed. There was like 3 or 4 different or really only 4 agencies in the district at all. And I went to all 4 of them, and one of them had Black Entertainment Television as a client. Because the only TV in town, as I started to speak to people and make those meetings, the only thing I knew, the thing you hear, make meeting, go meet people.
Right.
And so I would call
network.
Network.
Yeah.
Hey, can I come talk to you? I'm stupid and you're smart.
Right.
And nobody wants to talk to you. And I found this temp agency that had Black Entertainment Television as a client. And I was like, that's what I'm doing.
Other than, because news is the
Hail
big
Mary.
thing in DC.
Yeah,
it's all news.
Yeah.
And politics.
Yeah, but only news TV, nothing else created.
And you had a vision more of being in like the dramatic, a writer's room.
I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. None.
And how old are you
All
at this
this
time?
was blind. Yeah, 21, 22, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so you do end up at BET.
Yes.
You got in the door.
Barely,
From the
yes.
temp agency.
Yes.
You somehow found
I
your
got
way.
a job, yes, working for the chief financial officer in corporate, and she wanted, because I'm great. I was so great at my job. Literally X amount of months. She's like, I want to hire you. And I was like, here's the thing, dude. I don't know what y'all doing here in finance. Phone's on silent. Everyone said it. And look, the host doesn't do it.
I'm guilty. This is live. Shoot.
So the head of CFO goes, I want to hire you. And I was like, I don't want to work here, dude. I want to work in TV.
Right.
She's like, this is TV. And I'm like, no, we're in corporate. And she goes, here's what I'll do. At the time, again, y'all don't even know this. Teen Summit was a live show in shot Saturdays, Lisa Johnson. If you never saw it, Google Lisa Johnson. She was so cute. I was like, oh my God, I get to work with Lisa Johnson.
Right.
So the deal was I worked with her all week long, obviously, as her assistant, secretary, sitting out front. And Saturdays, I PA'd Teen Summit at Black Entertainment
So you
Television.
worked all week. You were doing like 7-day weeks.
Yeah,
at the
well, I mean,
beginning.
not Sundays, but Saturdays
Okay.
I would go out to the studio and PA Teen Summit. And that was my first introduction to, dude, in the studio that Bob Johnson had just built for $1. He rented the land for $1 because I was in finance.
And this
I
is
saw the
in
contract.
DC?
This is in DC. And the studio was brand new. I was literally like Dorothy I was literally like, what? This is amazing.
And so finally, kind of like the vision coming from an
Everything. I was
office,
like, this
you're like,
is
oh,
exactly
that's
what I
exactly
want,
where I want to
dude.
be. And what show was filming in that studio?
Teen Summit. Well,
Teen
I worked
Summit.
on Teen
Okay, it's
Summit,
called
but
Teen
every
Summit.
show shot out of there. Yeah, all of DC, all of BET's shows were DC based at the time. That was it, and yeah, so that's how I got into TV. I tricked my way through the temp
Right.
agency into the CFO's office. I want to
And
do
you
this other
worked
thing.
your ass off.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, which I don't think a lot of people know you have to do at the very, you just have to work hard. I mean, it's like really, really challenging to break in.
Had I known now, or this show existed, or the internet existed, or someone could tell me what to do,
Yeah.
I think particularly what's changed today, and social media has changed all this, is those connections. Like, working hard is great, and it's awesome, and I wish more people worked hard. Yeah, work hard, great, but sure. But that's not it. Hard work's not the answer. Mm-hmm. It really is. You have to know the right people. Like, you got to know someone that can grant you permission to where you're going. Like,
Right.
without that introduction, without Antonia, the CFO, calling Teen Summit and saying, put him in there, like, without someone upping me from nothing to something, there is nothing.
So somebody was like a guiding hand and helped move you along.
Always.
Yeah.
Without networking, if hard work ingratiates you to someone or helps someone like you or know you, or like that's what hard work is.
Mm-hmm.
Hard work is the currency of networking.
Right. Right.
But you have to know somebody. Trust me.
And so now you're in DC and you're working for BET and you're doing Teen Summit on the weekends, and there's a shift in you. This isn't enough.
Great insight, except no, even better. I get a call from Mr. Johnson, Bob Johnson, the owner and president and creator of Black Entertainment Television, in the middle of the night, and he reads me something, Hank, do you, and I'm like, and I hang up, and I'm like, he fired me. My boss, the CFO, we were going public, and Price Waterhouse had come in, and she was embezzling millions of dollars, so I got fired.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So that was like, you were like almost at the center of this scandal.
I was.
Yeah. And you didn't, I mean, obviously you didn't know that was going on. You
Well,
kind of like
she was-
you
she was a
maybe had an
crook.
idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
She went to jail.
She went to jail.
Yeah.
All right. So you are unemployed.
I'm unemployed.
All of a sudden in
I'm
DC,
burnt in the
yeah.
entire District of Columbia, and I'm like, I guess I'm going to New York.
Right. Right. And so you had this thought you mentioned to me that, okay, I've worked in TV. I get to New York, they're going to hire
Exactly.
me instantly.
Like, I thought, this is a great thing, right? I'm leaving the small town show. I'm moving to the Big Apple. If I can make it here, I can make it anywhere.
Right.
And I got my resume. Look at me, Teen Summit. Mary Duffy was the EP of the Montel Williams show, and I got in front of her somehow, and I put my resume down. And she's like, She literally said this to me, like you hear people say it's crazy. She literally said, "You'll never work in this industry." Who says that?
Yeah.
Who says that? How do you know how bad I am? Like, let's say I suck. To say that, and I've never forgotten it because I was like, wow, now I have to make this fat bitch.
But why daytime TV? What drew you to daytime? Like what
Nothing.
Montel Williams is
Anything, Blake.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Dude, I worked on commercial. Dude, I'm the best. You got cables you need pulled, dude. I'm the best. I did commercial shoots. Dude, anything. Right. Any job that remotely had lights, cameras, and talent, I was like, dude, I don't know if you ever worked on a commercial shoot, but they pay you $100 and basically you're the mover, you're the schlepper. Yeah. Like it's the hardest labor you can do for $100 day rate or something. Right. Yeah, I just wanted to be in this.
But you were happy doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I was learning everything. I didn't know anything.
Right. Just kind of like absorbing everything you possibly could.
And I went back to temping for like 2 years maybe, temping, trying to get my way back into TV in New York. That system stopped working. Mm-hmm. The temp agencies didn't give a shit. Even I couldn't even. It didn't work, and I kind of given up. And my girlfriend, I was temping at Citibank. I was dating one of the girls that sat in the row with me. Best part about temping in the old 90s, dude, it was me in the secretarial pool. Right. Very nice. So I was dating one of the
Tinder of
exactly,
the 90s.
Yeah. If you wanted to date in the 90s, just temp at Citibank. So Maeve was coming from her shrink, and she said it was East 70s. She goes, I think they make TV there. Okay. I was like, what do you even get me a number? Yeah. And the guys that smoke out front, of course, gave Maeve, Maeve, the secretary from Citibank, his phone number.
Another good trick.
She gave me the number to me. Yep.
Get the number of the guys out front.
And his name was Howie Stern. His name's Howard Stern. Wow. He goes by Howie Stern. He ran the runner's office at King World for Inside Edition and American Journal. And he saw my resume and he goes, you have too much experience. You won't last in this job. I'm not hiring someone that's immediately going to leave and go do something new. So I'm definitely not hiring you because you actually have experience.
So another door closes.
I was like, dude, I'm definitely not going to leave this job. Please, I'll do anything. And I literally talked him into hiring me.
And so now you're on Inside Edition.
All right. But as a runner. There?
Okay, what is a runner?
You know what a runner is for? Are you asking for everybody? Or are you asking
everybody.
For you?
I want people to know what a runner is.
Because I don't think it exists anymore. Does runner exist now? Do you guys know what runner is? You ever heard that term, runner? Yeah. Because there's PAs and everyone thinks the PAs are the pieces of shit of the production facility of what's going on. No, there's a whole other class of people that you can abuse. It's the runners. The work the PAs don't want to do, they give it to runners.
Okay, yeah. And so this was you.
This was me and a group of like 7 or 10 people that Deborah Norville's husband's shoes to get resold. Mm-hmm. I remember Naomi.
I think some people that take advantage of interns. Yeah. Interns. I mean, that's not really what an internship's about.
Before interns, and it had to be for credit, so I couldn't intern anywhere because I wasn't in school anymore because you had to be in college in order to get credit, whatever. So runner was and interns were treated better. Literally, runner's the worst.
Okay. So you're running for Inside Edition. Literally. And you're getting Deborah Norville's husband's
shoes resold.
Shoes resold. Okay.
And ice cream and anything anyone wanted. Sorting the mail.
But you were still kind of like, this is good. I'm in.
And I wasn't. And Howie was right. I wasn't there long in the runner's office. 3 months later, somebody walked into the mailroom. I was sorting. 2 other people were there. Howie was at his desk. I remember it very well. Because again, it was that moment of, and this I think is the biggest takeaway, and I think it's, at least for me, and you guys can, everybody has their own story, right? But I think this kernel is the most important part to understand, because when it happens, you still got to do the thing. She literally, somebody, I don't remember who, walked in. Sue LaCola had gone on maternity, was going on maternity leave, or had gone on maternity leave. And there was only 2 researchers for Inside Edition, for American Journal, and Rolanda. There was 2 researchers. And Sue was the head, and Sue was gone. And someone says, who knows LexisNexis? That literally was what they said. And I was like,
but
I don't know.
You didn't know
LexisNexis. What is that? What is that? What is that? What does that mean? What does those words mean? I never even heard those words. LexisNexis. Yeah. Like whatever it is, it sounds like computery, right? Like,
right.
I'll figure it out in 2 seconds. And I did. And I
what-
ran the
so-
research department.
Right. So what is LexisNexis? What
At the
was?
time,
Yeah.
we were still using dial-up, connecting to
Late
their
90s,
mainframe.
right? Or we're
Yeah,
talking-
or mid-90s. Yeah,
Okay.
mid-90s.
Yeah, mid-90s.
Early 90s. Yeah, mid-90s. You dial up, you dial into their thing, and you have to learn the Boolean search.
I remember.
Nearly, if not,
Right.
in the headline, you have to byline. You can search by you have to research for the producers, for the stories, for
So this is a massive like database
yes,
of people or just
mostly newspapers.
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
The fun part was sidetrack, but it's fun. I have to talk about it. It's so much fun. Because what Inside an American did is they tracked a lot of people down. I also had access to, dude, I could find people's socials. I could find where they lived. I could find their license. I could find how much they made. I could find the value of their property. Because I used to send the investigative. Investigative used to come over and be like, I need to know what car the dad's driving because we got to go ambush him. Like we got to find him in the when you see these guys show their videos still go viral because they go up and put their microphone in your face. Yeah, I used to track all those people down for them and tell them how to go ambush
so like
people.
almost detective work.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you're doing LexisNexis. You're at Inside Edition.
So just like I'm doing all along, I'm saying I want to do and I'm doing things I have no business doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm actually mostly lying when I'm putting myself in almost every position I did. I was kind of lying.
But you figured it out.
Of course.
Yeah. Well,
that's
I mean,
the
that-
skill.
but that- so-
that's the skill.
But so that
Minutes
point, the
before we
lie
went on
becomes
air,
true.
everything went to hell, right? This fell on the ground. You broke the computer. None of the sound was working. Everything's
was all
always going to
Garrett's
go to hell, and you're just going to we'll figure it out. Like that's
You know
the
what? We
skill.
did figure it out.
That's the skill. Honestly,
eight
that's
minutes
the skill.
before we went live today.
If you don't have
yeah.
that skill, then don't. This is not the business for you.
But your lies became truth.
Of
because
course.
you figured it out.
Well, I
so
wanted
that's-
it.
To me, that's not lying.
At the moment, it was.
That is willingness.
Who knows LexisNexis? I don't even know. I didn't know what those words were.
Yeah, but that's a just say yes mentality.
Of course.
So
But
like
it was a lie.
Yeah, but you figured it out.
Of course.
In a
Okay,
week.
you can keep handing it to me when I hand it back to you. It's a lie.
Okay. Okay. So
But that's important.
yeah.
This business is wrought with this idea of, dude, I worked on X number of movies. It's showing up on locations doing this thing. And it's like, what are we doing here? How are we doing it? I don't know. Let's just let's get the lights up. Let's get some cameras up. No, this is not this scene. We're just figuring it out on the fly is one of the biggest things you got to be able to do.
Yes.
And be comfortable. Even if you're nervous, representing that I'm still going to make this happen.
Right. Okay, so something happens while you're at Inside Edition.
I
There's
get
a producer
bored.
that just comes in one day and you overhear something. Is
What
that
did I
that
overhear?
right?
What did I overhear?
Well, your next step is
Yeah, I heard. Well, I was bored. Like I hated
were
it
bored.
there. Like they treated their work. There was a class action suit because when you worked overtime for the Kings, they paid you halftime. Did you ever hear this?
yeah, time and a half kind of thing.
But no, halftime. No, if you
Oh,
make
half of
$10
your
an
hourly.
hour, now that you're working overtime, you make
Five.
$5.
That's
And they were like,
very-
we pay halftime here for overtime. I was like, halftime?
okay.
So I hated it. The Kings are not nice people.
Okay.
A lot of people there are not nice. It's a horrible, horrible place. I mean, it's not a secret. It's not a secret. You want to hear about who was sleeping with you? I'm glad to tell you.
Okay, but so you wanted to get out. I
wanted to get out.
and you also didn't like what you were doing anymore. But
I didn't.
you learned a lot.
It just
and
got.
you're
I
like,
learned a
"It's time for me
lot,
to
and I
move
was
on."
like, dude, it literally became I'm the temp. Sue Lacola never came back. 6-8 months. She had her baby, and it was like, Sue's not coming back. You're the new head of research, and I'm like, I'm still getting paid shit. Like I'm still basically getting paid a runner's salary. They don't bump you. They don't care about you. So I'm literally now. Giorgio was doing coke in the back room with all these. I'm running research for Inside Edition and American Journal, and I'm like, I got to get out of here, dude. Nobody cares about me.
This is
I
a
literally,
movie, although, by the way, I think you need to write a screenplay someday. But
I-
okay, that may be next.
And then I'll tell you more about what happened with Antonia and BT. As I had piles of money on the floor that Antonia wanted counted because she came back from New York from her drug dealer brother to pay her attorneys in cash. I'm counting $50,000 in cash on my living room floor before the FBI took me down to fingerprint me. That's the BET story. That's the BET
Okay,
story.
don't-
That's the movie story. So yeah, I was bored at Inside.
This is way better than the pre-interview.
Right,
You didn't
exactly.
give me any of this.
Why would I? Why, I'm saving it for live, brother. That's what we're doing here. Yeah, I was bored, and I literally just heard somebody needs a researcher for a pilot. I was literally, again, another weird, literally probably a dumb leap, right? Like, I have a steady job, and I'm like, I'll go work on a 2-week job.
Mm-hmm.
I quit my job for a 2-week job.
That pilot was
The View.
The View.
Well, it became The View. Maybe. I mean, we didn't know. The
You
View
didn't
from
know?
here.
Okay.
I mean,
The
yeah.
View, it wasn't called that at the very beginning.
Well, because Barbara had been so inside scuttlebutt on The View 20 some years ago now, right? It was a passion project of Barbara's, and their network was doing it because Barbara was upset, and everyone knew Barbara was too old for daytime, and no one was going to watch Barbara in daytime, and no one was doing panels in daytime. There was no such thing as panels in daytime. You couldn't do a panel. Barbara was too old. No panels. Just a vanity project for Barbara. Literally going to end in 2 weeks. No, I couldn't get anyone on. We had to pay Lou Diamond Phillips, who was doing The King and I on Broadway. We had to pay him $5,000 just to show up and do the pilot.
Wow.
No one would come
Lou
and shoot the
Diamond
pilot for
Phillips.
Barbara. Lou Diamond Phillips.
Had
to pay him.
No.
$5,000.
Wow.
And then Barbara wouldn't even, and the other person, this is what really sold the pilot. This is very important to understand for everybody. Barbara wouldn't call Regis because she didn't want to be in that position of calling in favors. Miss, that's dumb. That's dumb right there. I mean, that's dumb. I wish Barbara would watch this. Barbara's still alive.
Yeah.
Barely. I'm in touch with her people. I want to be the last person to interview Barbara Walters, so
Wow,
I
that
can
would
be
be amazing.
famous for interviewing one of the most famous interviewers.
Right.
Barbara didn't want to call in any favors. She didn't want to call Regis directly because she wanted to be seen. So we had to finagle somehow behind the scenes to get Regis on the set for the pilot, which we did. His personality on that set, him bringing that life into the show, that was the only clip we showed the network. That was the only segment.
So he was a guest.
He was a guest.
I see.
And getting him
In
on the
the
show
pilot.
brought the ladies to life. It really was that the power of personality is what TV's about.
Right.
Like if you're looking to get on this side of the camera, that's what I help people do today is you got to have that level of energy, that level of controlling the room to that level.
And
Regis made The View.
And you're researching, you're producing stories, and you come up with this idea for the hot topics.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Or it was just like-
I
it was
would
just
not
like-
say to Bill, who's producing a show with
So
Tamara
right,
now.
here's Bill,
Yeah,
and actually
I sat in
from
the
this
front row
angle,
with
you can
Bill.
see the Bill's right there.
I used to sit in the front row because I produced the Hot Topics.
Yeah.
And
What does that mean?
It certainly
What
wasn't.
does that mean?
So
producing
it's
the Hot Topics.
pretty much how almost. What's weird about what happened with The View is it changed the face of daytime, and TV changed around with that idea of a lead with opinion when Fox
I mean, there are
started
like
to take off.
15 panel shows now.
Yeah, that's
I
all
mean,
they are
It's
now.
all
Yeah,
panel shows.
yeah.
Yeah.
That idea of everyone has their own opinion around the same topic and having that discussion.
And also the dichotomous kind of, you've got
Yeah.
people on the right, people on the left.
Right.
If
Well,
it gets
that
political.
was Barbara's idea, right? Debbie's not here in this picture, but that was The View was about. Barbara had one singular vision, which was Debbie Matenopoulos represented the young one. Like she wanted that spectrum.
Yeah.
She wanted the comic. She wanted the fat person. That's a joke star. I'm just joking. She's not fat anymore. The lawyer. She wanted the host. She wanted,
lawyer. That's
yeah,
better.
right.
That's more
She wanted all those points of view.
Yeah. I mean, genius.
Yeah.
And it
So
takes
revolutionary, nobody wanted to do it. Everyone was like,
Yeah.
no one's going to watch that.
off. Yeah.
And it's still, playing 24 years later.
And so you're in the room with Barbara every day. You're in with the producers. You're
Picking the talent at what used to be the Essex House on 59th Street, seeing...
casting.
Yeah, casting.
Yeah, wow.
And then shooting with Regis and Lou Diamond Phillips.
And I mean, so what was that like going from the LexisNexis guy to the almost head researcher on The View and launching
thing.
this pilot?
Same thing.
In
Nothing
terms
different.
Of, no?
Yeah.
But I mean, you must have felt some electricity, and you're like, "Wow, I'm in it now. I'm at the studio every day. You're at the studio, the
Yeah.
lights, and all this. You're in the
Did
front
I have
row.
an IFB? I don't think I
you're
did.
on camera sometimes.
Yeah, no, I have a mic.
Yeah.
I'm talking.
Yeah.
They would turn to me because if they had a question or, I don't know. I never felt like I made it.
But it's
there.
like a dream coming true at this point.
Yeah.
Or while you're in it, are you just like, what's next?
I think I already thought I started to make it at Inside Edition. Like, once I got in, I don't know if you have a sense of this, Blake, and maybe you can say, like coming from Maryland to D, like being a country boy from Maryland and then going to DC, and then just piercing the veil of having somebody take me seriously, of like showing up somewhere and it's like, oh, like let's ask him about his opinion, like get his help. And I was like,
that doesn't happen with me, but maybe might happen at some point. That's why we're doing this show. Hank,
right,
right? Maybe
someday.
Someday.
What a funny guy.
No, okay, so
I felt I made it just getting in the. I was so on the out, dude. I have to go back just to press this point.
Well, the name of this show is The In Crowd.
Right, so I'm in.
You're in.
So now I'm in. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
now
you're
I'm awesome
in at this point.
But here's what I used to do. I don't know. In the 66th Street, there's a 66 in Lex or something. There's a local Fox. It's silver. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it there. It's a silver building. It's all metallic, and it just says like Fox or something. It says. I was like
6 and 60.
Yeah,
6. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, they make TV there.
Yeah.
And I used to literally think, how do I get in the door? Like I literally was like, I used to stand on the corner and people would come out and I would physically pull the door. And I was like, and they'd go, get out of here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't get in. I went to the Castle one across 66 and where ABC is, the one that's the Castle where they actually do the soaps. I didn't know that. I was like, I'm physically trying to walk in. I got in once and the guard was like, yes. And I'm like, how do I get a job here? And she's like, I don't know. I'm the guard.
Right.
Get out of here.
They still don't let you in.
I physically didn't know how to get in. And so once I was in, I was like, oh my God, I know people. Like people know me and I know people. Like I'm getting jobs. I just heard of a thing and it became The View. And now after The View, then Bonnie Hammer called me because Ronnie, and it was like, now I'm doing a pilot I'm EPing a pilot. After this, I went and EP'd a pilot for Bonnie Hammer in USA with all the wrestlers from the WWE at the time, or WWF. Which one is it? I don't know.
It was probably the F at that point. Yeah.
Dude, I got paid like $3,000 a week. I thought I was rich.
Right.
$3,000 in 1 week. I'm like, I'm gonna kill myself.
Well, that's actually a great salary.
I was EP of a.
I'd like to get that today.
I was EPing a major pilot for the USA networks for Bonnie Hammer.
Okay, all right. How?
I'm sorry, I'm cool.
But how did that connection occur?
Because of The View.
So you meet Bonnie in a hallway?
Ronnie Selig and the people you don't see here, the missing people are Ronnie Selig and Jessica Guff were two producers. And they're super connected, and Ronnie and Bonnie are good friends. And when I left The View, Ronnie and Bonnie called Ronnie and was like, I need someone to do...
Ronnie and Bonnie is
Well,
funny.
I need someone to do a show. And Ronnie goes, let Hank do it. And so I got upped from a researcher to an EP.
And you leave The View at this point? Or are you still kind of keeping The View as a side thing?
No, I left.
You left. You're like, I'm now going to go out and be an executive producer of new material.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line of doing this, Bonnie Hammer, she's a network executive.
She's huge.
She's huge.
Yeah. She's huge today.
And she says she's going to launch a network.
No, Bonnie was USA, and so I did the pilot. And as
Yeah.
I'm working on the pilot, Ronnie gets another job with Jerry Laybourne and Oprah and Marcy Carsey, Carsey Werner Productions. They are talking about Oprah and Marcy and Tom launching their own cable network, which is Oxygen. And then Ronnie goes, come work with me and let's launch an entire network. And I'm like, okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally running, working at BET, the scandal occurs.
I
moved to New York.
Yeah, moved to New York.
Like on a whim, you're like, oh, I'm just
Well, no, I had to. I
go
couldn't
to
get
New
a job. Yeah.
Right, exactly, because not because of anything you did, you were blacklisted in DC. And then you're in New York running, and all of a sudden, just a few years later, you're launching a network. That's incredible.
From the people I know.
Yeah.
Again,
Okay,
what's
network.
changed?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I'm now surrounded by people that know people.
Yeah. What do you think your secret is? I know you've mentioned many things, but if you could distill it down to one thing, like when you meet someone or what you do?
At that time, I didn't all I had, a lot of people call it, and you call it hard work. I no longer call it hard work. I call it, like, I'm going to let you know that I know. Like, I'm not just working hard. Like, dude, I'm telling you.
Like you have an intuition of sorts?
No, I'm going to do things like, I do the extra version. Like, people hire me, not so much today because I'm not really doing that today, but at the time, why people wanted to hire me or what Ronnie would say when someone is like, because I'm going to see it to the end. Like, I'm the first there, I'm the last to leave, and it's not the hard work. I'm there to make sure everything's taken care of. Like, I'm a producer.
Well, no, and
I'm
first
a type A
there
personality.
and last to leave is a huge important part, I think, of like making it in production.
My insecurity of not knowing nothing made me have to know everything, and that made me better than everyone else.
Right. And all of a sudden, one day, they're doing a segment on Pure Oxygen, which is a live show.
Live. 2 hours live every single day.
2 hours live every day, similar to what we're doing here.
Nothing similar to what you're doing here.
Well, live.
Live. But
That's all.
Segment.
I didn't mean it was like, okay. It's probably much bigger studio.
Yes,
but,
about 50
but
people.
similar because it's live.
Yes.
And unpredictable. And they're like, hey, Hank, our tech expert didn't show up today.
Yep. Get on air.
You're going on.
Get on TV,
I
even though
love
you have
this, by the
long
way.
hair.
I love the hairstyles.
Come on, it was
the
99.
it changed.
Come on, it was 99. Yeah, I was on air for 2 years.
Yeah, so 2 years you're on air every single day,
Every day.
live for 2 hours.
Yep.
Monday through Friday.
Either
I'm just
doing
gonna roll this,
the water cooler segment or doing a tech segment.
Yeah.
So either doing this. Look at that. Look at the bump. Do you see
Nice,
that?
yeah. It's very nice.
Come on.
After Effects.
That's quality. Yeah.
So this is like early 2000s?
And this is literally our desks.
Yeah.
This is how dumb Oxygen was. We literally sat as everyone who worked at Oxygen sat in the studio.
I think this is great though.
Yeah, you could say it was great. My desk was down here. This was called home base back here. The Donnas were playing live. I'm trying to make phone calls. I'm like, it's really not a good place to do work when they're literally filming a show. So yeah, really cool, looks cool, but not good for work for television and sound. Like everyone's like, be quiet. I was like, no, don't film in my office.
Right.
How about that? Leave my office. Like pick. So cute idea, horrible execution, obviously doesn't work. And all of these ideas.
Why doesn't that work?
It's too early. This is 99, dude.
And what are you doing for your tech segments here? Like
supposedly chatting in a room that probably doesn't have maybe 1 or 2 people in it. Like, nobody was ready for.
But like,
Oxygen.
did you know were you a tech expert?
No. Again, I'm not a tech expert. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about any of this. I just knew what I knew, and I'm willing to represent my ideas as to the best of my ability. Lying.
I don't call that lying. I call that, just trying.
Trying.
Shift it. Okay, so launching Oxygen, you're on air every day, you're getting on-air experience.
It's not just that. So I use this example, and it's true. It's not just an example. When Oxygen finally realized as a network that just doing live programming was not the path to success because this is expensive and running old Magnum PI shows is a lot cheaper, and they should get reruns of things to rerun. And so when our show went into reruns like 3 months later, I was sitting at my desk. Well, those are the old Apples, but I actually had a monitor at like a lot of TV producers do. I actually had a monitor on my desk. And so I've been doing shows like that segment for 3 months, and I finally see myself and hear myself on camera for the first time. This is
and what are you
before
feeling
smartphones.
when you are finally hearing yourself?
I literally remember this as well, because I'm like typing and I'm working, I'm doing the thing and I'm working and the thing comes on and the sound was on, and I hear this segment and I was like, ugh. And it wasn't even me. I don't even think I knew it was me. I just knew as a producer, whoever was talking, see how I talk? Like how we all kind of, I was really like, I can't understand. Like, this guy's horrible. I didn't even think it was me. It was just so
yourself.
bad. Yeah, and I turn and I look and it's me and I was like, I suck.
Why?
Because I'm just talking. I don't care. I'm just like, I'm rushing to get through the segment. I'm just being myself. I think you can show up on camera and just be yourself. Hey, everybody, I don't care. I'm not going to finish a sentence.
But that's what you were doing at that point.
Because I was doing anything to get through the segment. What that taught me, what you can now teach yourself by recording yourself on your phone and watching that back, like the technology we have available today, teaches you to actually care about how you're coming across.
Yeah.
That's a very different idea than just, hey, I'm going to get out there and say some shit, and maybe I'm smart, maybe I'm not. If you actually start to take ownership of how you talk and the information you put out there, is someone actually receiving that information? Are you making a connection with the person you intend to talk to? Is that happening? That's kind of life-changing. Like what I see now of the type of work I do, like in helping people get better in the media, I'm making you a better communicator. I'm making you a better person. Like it's a radically transformative idea.
from Oxygen and learning all of that and being on air 2 years every day, you moved to ABC Disney.
Yeah.
Well, how did that transition occur? I mean, for me, transitions are important because they're in that's where you're learning that something isn't right for you anymore.
Sure, but
it's
TV.
Yeah.
Fired like anything. Shows go fired. Everyone
The
got
show
fired.
is over.
Fired.
Everyone's you're out.
Literally get out.
Okay. All right.
Get out.
And so you're back in that same space of like, I got to
What am
find
I
a
gonna do
job.
next?
Okay,
Yeah.
Look back to my network.
Yep.
Look back to my resume, get it
Yeah.
out there. And so it ends up on the desk of somebody at ABC Disney.
Again, Ronnie Selig.
So she's like your,
Yeah. But now I had to convince Ronnie.
Advocate.
Now Ronnie is vice president of development at Disney. I'm like, dude, I want to work in development. I want to make TV shows.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't know anything about making TV
Right.
shows. I'm like, well, we did launch an entire network besides that, and like 4 or 5 shows on it. But besides that, I got you. I don't have the experience of an executive, of somebody who makes shows for a living. I got you. And she's like, besides, I can't afford you, and I don't have that position. I don't have anything. And I was like, but what you do have is a secretarial spot. She's like, you don't want that. It's going to put you in a position. People are going to think of you as my assistant. It's not a good look for you. You should not do it. I'm like, I'm doing it.
Okay.
And I did it again.
You took that job again
100%.
because you were hungry.
Just get me in the door, dude.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Got
Get
you.
me
I
in
got
the
you.
door.
Right. And so when you cross the threshold, that's when the magic starts to happen.
Boom. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And so but wait, from Ronnie's assistant to director of development.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
Not long.
6 months?
Yeah, maybe a year. I don't know.
That's incredible.
Doesn't
I
matter.
mean, daytime TV is somewhat of its own world.
Animal. It is,
it's
really.
its own animal, its own world.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting because like people leave. I mean, I was on daytime TV, home delivery. I worked with the Maury producers early in my career.
Yeah.
I'm in an office. There's 150 people.
Yeah.
We're all researchers crunching. Do you know what I mean?
Of
And
course.
like somebody leaves and the squeaky wheel guy, Phil, I think he was a PA, he's like always talking about, I want to shoot. Well, when a shooter doesn't show up, he's the person they choose.
100%.
And I was like, what the?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
And I'm stuck like getting
Doing
coffee,
nothing. Yeah.
making the, do that kind of
Because
thing.
he's a quiet guy.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to speak up for what you want.
Yes.
And so you're telling Ronnie every day, like, oh, I can do that.
I'll recover. Don't worry about me being the secretary.
Right,
I can
right.
recover. Trust me.
Right. And so you're there when Tony Danza's show launches.
Tony,
Regis,
Regis,
Kelly,
overseeing Regis and Kelly. Part of
Millionaire.
The beginning. I know Kelly really well because when I was at the View, she shot with all my children at the end of the street, and I used to go hang out with Christian, who's still a writer at the View to this day. He's like one of the 2 or 3 people that have been there since the very beginning.
Wow.
Christian, I didn't smoke. I would hang out with Christian where all the smokers hung out. The bad
Outside,
kids
right, yeah.
on the loading dock down at the bottom of the street. And Kelly was a smoker at the time, so she used to hang out in the loading dock and hang out.
And you just got to know her.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden now you're
Now she's moved up
yeah.
here, moving up here. I'm overseeing Regis and Kelly, and putting Regis into Millionaire into game syndication. And that was a dream for me because for me, like I'm a student. Like the other underarching thing that we haven't really talked about, but TV for me, I study. Like comics, I study. Delivery, I study. TV, Johnny, I study. Like how to do
Johnny Carson.
how to do television. Like how to host. Like how to do it. Like I was just always I wanted it so badly from the Dick Van Dyke Show. It was just everything was
How to
watching
host,
Letterman.
So what kind of feedback can you give me?
You're horrible.
That's awesome.
You guys never. You get no experience.
Well, I mean,
I already told you on the pre-in. I was like, you need a point of view. You got to start the show with that point of view. This is why you're here. This is why what you want to impart on people. But people,
your journey, honestly. I mean, that's interesting to me.
I know, but you got to state that intention for the show, and that you have to sell us on where that comes from you, from your heart.
Yeah.
Like your passion for that. Like look at the biggest known interviewers, Howard Stern, Barbara Walters. Like they have a point of view. They're coming from something. They're not just like, hey, let me talk to somebody. no, they actually have a really sharp intention. That's a requirement. Your personality is just as, if not more so, important than the person sitting here.
Well, this show's about you today, so.
Here he goes. He's hedging.
And
He's
the
hedging,
Chew.
folks.
And the Chew, where you got to
And
know
the Chew.
Gordon
Yes.
Elliott.
Oversaw the Chew.
So tell me more about like the idol relationship you had with Regis, Phil.
Well, Regis is one of the most people don't know it, but if radio turned into television, and Regis was part of that migration from Joey Bishop to being with Jack Parr. Before Johnny, Regis was like Ed McMahon to Jack Parr on the old Tonight Show. Like, Regis's roots in television are super deep, and meeting Regis, and I used to make Ronnie like, let's take Regis to lunch. Like, I used to push for going to lunch to Regis, and and everyone would come over. Like, literally, it was like so good, dude. Like, literally just like a movie. Like, we'd be sitting at the table, whatever restaurant he liked. I can't even remember which restaurant he loved. Like, literally the stodgiest, like no one would eat there. It's like, literally, if you're not over 90, no one eats there, and their lunch is like $100 a plate, and everyone's coming over to say hi to Regis.
Like Midtown, 6th Avenue.
Yeah, Midtown. Like, no, but who goes here? Like, your lunch in Midtown? This is retarded. And everyone would come and say hi to Regis, and he'd tell jokes, and so fun, like, just to hang with Reg.
At this point, a huge pivot happens in your career. After you do your director of development at ABC, you meet Steve and Mel.
Yeah.
So Steve Carless, Mel Robbins.
I'm director of development at ABC Disney, and Steve brings Mel Robbins in. I signed her to a holding deal and say, I'm going to train you for daytime television.
Yeah. And Mel's
10 years ago.
Yeah. So like next week, a show is coming out on daytime.
Next week.
Syndication. So like what led you into that world? Like where you said it was Mel. Yeah. So can you tell us that story?
That Steve brings Mel in. I signed her to a holding deal. She'd never done anything nothing. Had never done media at all whatsoever. Steve got Mel a drive time show. He knows networking wise. He knows Scott Greenstein at Sirius. Got Mel a drive time show on a channel then called Lime. 9 a.m. I was her side. After my training her of a year at ABC, the two of them approached me and was like, let's just do this full time. I left my job at ABC to go form a company with Mel and Steve, and I became Mel's media sidekick. I was training her by being on air with her.
And so is that previous experience of you being on air, of being a development executive, of launching a network, that was attractive to Mel and Steve in a way, like, okay, here, this is like the triangulation of this
guy
company.
makes shows. Plus, what I had really learned, what I'd started to do more, that we didn't have results from, but launching 4 or 5 different shows on Oxygen. I met with so many people and worked with them and created like the pilot stage before the pilot. Chili and T-Boz from TLC. Like, working with talent to make them better on camera was something I was like, you have to do that, right? You can't just show, hey, you want a talk show? Come sit down and start talking. No, you got to train them. So what I had been doing a lot was really working with people and saying, no, this is how you do it. Like, here's how to be, here's how to talk, here's what to say. And Mel was the latest version of that. And we're just like, let's just do all Mel. Let's just create a version where we're doing
that's
Mel.
called was Advice for Living,
right?
And so you're getting Mel on Sirius. You're starting to talk about other opportunities, and there's somewhat of a bifurcation at that point between you and Steve and Mel. And you.
Yeah, well, Mel obviously wanted. I mean, it became difficult for a number of reasons. Mel has, as she's known for today, her anxiety issues. Well, they were completely high. And there was no social media, so there was no other way to build an audience other than to do TV, traditional media, TV, radio. And that dried up. Like, we got Mel shows, but a show here, a show there, that's not a career. Like, that doesn't pay the bills. So yeah, we just were like, Mel, let's start doing this thing for other people. So we started working with other talent. Mel's like, I just want to do me. So Steve and I peeled off and started Two Market Media, and Mel just kept on the career path she had to do herself.
And so you start Two Market Media with Steve. And so what does Two Market Media do?
Two Market is literally what we did for Mel, which is teach you how to get attention and teach you how to monetize it.
And so you have had a lot of success with Grant Cardone.
Grant. I've had a lot of success with many people. Like, Grant's not famous because he's not on TV. Like, a lot of people don't know who Grant is.
Right.
But Grant now has like $1 billion, literally not like $1 billion. He has like $1 billion under management because he has people sending him their money that he manages and buys apartments with, that he pools people's money and does real estate deals with other people's money, dude.
But
That's
in
how
the
famous
last
he is.
10 years, he's developed this network, the 10X. He's writing bestsellers.
He's a billionaire now.
Yeah. Because of his media.
Yes,
kind of
100% because of his media exposure.
Exposure, exactly. And you've been on a lot of shows with him, like in his
Yeah, we've
studio.
worked.
It's a little bit of a nicer studio than what we have, but we're going to get better money next
Right,
time. We'll
right.
work out. You speak at GrowthCon.
Yeah, that's Grant. So Grant's evolution, he's nice enough to, I'm bringing him up, and he's nice to bring me up, which is we encourage Grant to launch his own network. We were always taking him out, writing show ideas, pitches, taking him to networks, and everyone's like, and a lot of times they'd be like, yes, we want to do it, and he wouldn't want to do it their way. Like, he's like, oh, sure, but no. And it's like, Grant, stop being so difficult. Like, if you want to do your own show your own way, just be like, what are you waiting for, dude? You don't need permission. Be your own network.
Do it yourself.
Yeah.
So you started through his website,
Yeah.
like his own TV network.
Correct.
The Whatever It Takes network, Grant
Grant
Cardone network.
Yeah, that he then just took over.
Which is like a genius idea. It's just owning your own media. And then there's like different, you
and
have
it-
a show on the network.
And it
different
really started him.
personalities. Yeah.
Like, it really let people know that he was the center of that intention.
And it gave him a foundation
Yes.
and kind of a place to go
and a
out
purpose.
from.
Like, he
Yeah.
still, to this day, from the launch, he does a show every single day live at noon. Every 5 days a week.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It builds a muscle.
And so what's this like GrowthCon? Speaking here, 10,000 people.
Vegas, 10,000 people.
Wow. What is that like? The energy of that room. And,
It's crazy. It's like
did you know that this was going to happen? Like,
From-
from the, I don't know, when you were in DC and you were like, I'm going to be on a stage someday talking about this.
I mean, like anyone, I was like, that would be cool, but I'd never, I went and did stand up and open my, I kind of like, I did it and I was on TV and I was like, I did the things I wanted to do and I was like, so I was kind of good. Like, what I liked about it for me is like, I was kind of done, and this was kind of like this version of like, oh, now I get to like really explore this. So
Right.
I have a lot of fun with it because it's like, I put on my own show. Like, I don't know if you ever watched me like in this setting. You think this is crazier, yeah.
I stole this from your Twitter.
Yep.
Can you, because this might be a little bit of what you are presenting at GrowthCon, like just these
I think
ideas.
this is what this is what two-market media, this is what the internet provides, this is what your phone provides. I mean,
Right.
what changed and what really launched
Can you
Mel.
walk us through this?
Yeah, so it's you, this is the start, and your phone is the filter. Like, where Mel took off is when social media came in and Mel was able to find her audience just by putting herself out there. And that is the beginning of, as we were talking about, even when you watch yourself back, that how people see you and how you see you, that's what transforms you and your material, your methodology, and really shows how you have a much greater, powerful impact, a connection. It really does teach you how to be a better, more empathetic person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole cycle is, once you watch it and now you see that impact and your reaction, you reel and you go deeper, and it all happens all over again, and you just
Right, cyclical.
Yeah.
It keeps going.
Yeah.
This show, part of this is you listening to you saying like press record.
Yeah.
This hashtag that you have.
And that wasn't me, by the way. Just some people may find this helpful, and I certainly have, so I tell it. Because I help people define their brands, right? Like, they pay me a lot of money. It's like, what's my brand, and what should my hashtag be, and what should I stand on? It's like, most of those ideas that are out there around me, press record, I didn't come up with. The audience did. Mm-hmm. I just listened to them, how the world saw me, and people would contact me and write in Twitter and be like, you're the first one that ever got me to press record. Mm-hmm. Like, that message just started to come out of interacting with people, and I just picked up on it. I did not pick those ideas and say, I want to be the press record guy. I would never, that sounds stupid. Like, I
like it.
I don't personally like it. It's so dumb. You know what we should do? Press record. Like, yeah, I'm a genius, dude. It's so fucking dumb. Like, I would never come up with that as like a branding statement. But that was handed to me.
I like it.
And
here it is, hashtag press record. But I love this too. The second wave of media stars aren't seeking the spotlight. They're experts like you and me. You just need to press record. Can you dive into that for a second? What do you mean?
What
The
people
second
don't
wave
understand
also.
is that if you're going to run your business, it depends on, just like we were talking in the beginning, it's people knowing you. Who's coming to buy from you? Who knows you to buy from you? And let's put that aside.
Because Two Market Media works with people in every corner of
now.
It's like everything. It's
Yeah.
like food and business and real estate. It's
entrepreneurs,
finance, that day trader. I mean,
yeah.
And one of the ways that we got to know each other through Two Market Media, I shot for you for like 2 years, and also I cut my teeth on the 5D up there, and so
yeah, you were on the front line.
yeah. So okay, the second wave of media stars. What does that mean?
Entrepreneurs.
Getting
known. You getting known is your business getting known. People still have this desire of, they're like, I want people to know my cupcake. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't want to know your fucking cupcake, dude. I want to know you. Like, why are you making it? Why is that cupcake important to you? Why is that product? Why is that service? Why is what you are doing so important to you? And when you start to explore that, you start to realize that that's everything. The growth of your business depends on people getting to know you.
Mm-hmm. And so that is the Two Market Media kind of motto, or the intelligence behind Two Market Media.
Yeah, I think the thing we do, and we do now things that most standard houses do, where like we create commercials and campaigns and do that. And sure, and Gary Vee does it, right? But the reason Gary Vee doesn't talk about anything that he does,
right? Like you have a course.
Of course.
You have a lot of courses.
But the reason Gary Vee is not talking about how he makes commercials for people for a living, that's where he makes his money, is because he's not doing what I'm doing, which is because how I came up working with people. I train people. My course is about training you, helping you, teaching you to figure out how to talk about what you do, what's important to you, what you're passionate about, finding the meaning of this show. That's when you were like, I want you to do this show. It's like, what's the show about? Like, figuring out how to actually talk about you're doing this because this is important to you. And so it was important to me to, even before I could come and say, what are we talking about? I had to know your intention. And I want you to be able to share with the world that you want to help other people, because just like me, you don't want them to feel boxed out. Mm-hmm. You want them to see there's 5, 6, 7 unique pattern recognition things that if you see these things, you can get inside any of these things. The thing that's flipped today and that I do train people to do is, much like you were calling it hard work, and before the internet, it kind of was that. Now it's do it anyway. Mm-hmm. The hard work is, you want a movie, write it. You want a movie, write it and produce it. You want a movie, write it, produce it, and shoot it. Like, just make it, dude.
Just make it.
People coming to me now like, hey, here's my show idea. What do you want me to pay for your dumb idea?
Go shoot it.
Yeah, who's paying for your dumb show?
Yeah. 100%. And I mean, that's like why we're here today, is because you talk about that a lot. What does Charles Koppelman have to do with the whole ecosystem? This guy's fascinating.
He's fascinating.
These are some grabs. I was.
You got to
at
watch
shoot.
this show. Yeah,
this is great.
Blake shot it. He edited it. Great show.
It's on the Grant Cardone Network.
Yep,
this show.
It is. Yep.
Tell us about this connection and this guy. I mean, he launched Vanilla Ice. He launched Tracy Chapman.
Wilson Phillips.
Yeah.
He worked with Michael. He worked with Barbara. He worked with Dolly. He worked with the
This
Beastie
is a great
Boys.
show, by the way. Like, if
it
you
is a great show.
Go find this on the Grant Cardone Network.
And I think
just watch this, because he's got amazing
I remember
tips
sitting in the cab with you and summing up who Charles is. I can remember like it was yesterday, because pretty much what we were talking about is how he got to be a billionaire and working with all these people. Is I know exactly what I turned to camera. You were like, we were sitting in the cab, and I'm like, Charles is a yes man. Mm-hmm. He says anything that came to him. Like when someone's like, do you want to hear this new rapper? He's like, sure. And he's like, it was Vanilla Ice, and he's like, I like it. Like his son Brian, who I'm kind of who does billions now. Brian was in college and he heard Tracy Chapman in some coffee house, and he's like, Dad, come to like wherever he went to college. He's like, come hear this girl sing. He did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like who's doing that?
Again, willingness.
Yeah.
Like showing up.
Yeah, doing it.
Yeah. And so, just tell us more about like this connection. How did this come about?
How did we meet Charles? It's honest. I don't know. I'm the worst. I honestly don't even remember.
But that's part of, I think, your genius is connecting with these people.
I had to learn that though. Coming from a small town in Maryland where you didn't get outside of your own small clique of people, meeting people, and what I felt was like asking for favors, which is actually more like networking. Do this for me, I'll do that for you, whatever. How city people operate every day is the opposite of what I was taught, of how to actually network. And I've done tons of work for Charles that I turned to Steve and was like, "Did we even bill him for that? I don't care. Like, it doesn't. What do I care?"
Yeah.
So it's such on a different plane.
I mean, also the Real Housewife, Siggy Felder.
Flicker. Yeah,
Uh,
that's you.
Yeah, you're there.
There's me.
Yeah.
There's Steve.
Steve, yep. This was a good show. This was a pilot. Jonah, he's in the show.
There he is. Yeah.
This was a pilot drinking with celebrities, or
yes, Drinks with Hank.
Drinks with Hank. Thank you.
It was the pilot episode.
Great show.
Great show.
Should
the idea was
do a full season.
we would just drink constantly and do shots until we got totally drunk and couldn't really figure out what we were talking about anymore.
And
it pretty much did happen.
And it worked out.
It did work.
Good.
It's just a show.
A lot of views. It's good.
A lot of views. Yeah, of course. Yep.
And then we also shot at the Chew.
We did.
Gordon, this is online as well. I mean, people, I think, go and watch these is one of my kind of messages to people, because there's
tons of, like, this guy came from TV in Australia and he had the Gordon Elliott show here. Like, the amount of time and energy this guy's putting into understanding how to host and how to produce. He's like this
legend,
this show,
really, because from On Camera, Good Day New York. Right? Was it
yes,
Good Day New
yeah,
York? He was Good Day New York.
He did the first House Knocks. He would do the he came up with all those bits.
He's just producing all kinds of TV.
Yeah, and he's like semi-retired since the Chew went away. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gordon moved out to LA. I haven't talked to him in ages, but.
Can I ask you about some people on social media, and you give me an opinion of how they're doing? All right, Lil Nas X.
Ooh, I mean, come on, that.
But so he was big on Twitter.
Yep, and TikTok and. I mean,
So what could somebody learn from a Lil Nas X?
He pushes his own material. How even Old Town Road wouldn't have made it had he not created the groundswell for people to see it. Like, it doesn't. This show might be one of the best shows in history, but if you don't do anything to promote it, this is this is the thing people don't even want to begin to understand. Like, I created this great art. This is beautiful, right?
You're like Grant Cardone selling a glass of water.
Where's the marketing? Where's the marketing?
Yeah.
Like, how you expect people to see this?
Yeah.
Just making great shit doesn't mean anyone's going to see it.
And so you think he's effectual in the marketing
Completely.
with social media?
Yes.
Because it's really social marketing.
Yeah.
Social media is social marketing. What about Bette Midler?
I don't know.
No?
I mean
she's big.
I see her jabbing.
Yeah.
I see her doing political.
Yeah.
She's
one of the biggest, Hollywood influencers.
But she's not.
But it's almost like a reinvention of herself later. She's had a whole career.
What I would take from what I've seen is the opinion piece, which people have a problem with. So when I work with people, I used to only really start with that idea that you got to have your own main opinion, and people get really scared about that idea. When you tell people they got to stand for something, they get weird because it makes you take a position. It makes people not like you. Like, a lot of people don't want to be in this business and not be liked. A lot of people. Mel came to this business to be liked. Mel's biggest journey, and part of the reason that Steve and I pulled away from it was like, she's like, I don't want this. I want people to like me. I was like, okay, cool, except it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And so that's part of what she's controversial and in a good way.
She's willing to say what she believes.
Willing to be on the opposite end of the opinion. And then we have the president.
Yeah.
What do you think about his social media strategy?
It works for him.
Yeah.
Have you studied him enough to understand what the strategy is?
I do look at his tweets. Yeah. I do,
But overall, what do you have? I have takeaway from it because I think it's genius. I mean,
oh my!
It's very
He's definitely not my favorite person in the world.
But it doesn't matter. But what he learned from.
But I think that his social media strategy is. He's got something going on there.
What I do say to people, what you need to really understand is 12 seasons of hosting a reality show, and he was a showman before that, but really honing that ability in a show is the ability to brand people as ideas, build a wall, lock her up, these ideas of really small digestible ideas. Like anything he says, he knows how to pare it down so that people can easily pick up those ideas and run with them.
Like a fifth grade, vocabulary level.
That's how it works.
Right.
And he doesn't backtrack.
Right.
Once you move forward and put it out there, you can change it, but you can't backtrack. You can, so either he's changed, you can either do this lane or this lane, and you can move back and forth, but you can't retract in a lane.
You have to stand behind everything that you put out there.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can switch it, but just don't retract it. Those are all media rules.
Yeah. You have a big tour coming up, the Rainmaker Tour.
Rainmaker,
Yeah.
I have a bunch.
This is happening soon.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City, September 27, 2019. So what? Yeah, I mean, like this is an incredible pivot for Two Market Media. Because when I first started working for you guys, I don't think you were doing stuff like this yet. I mean, you were training people in media, coaching people, but now it's on another level.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're talking to audiences of 10,000. You're, building the following, and I think there's something to be said for that. Again, like
That's the work.
that's the work. So, okay, key takeaways for you for you've given a lot of advice for people like that are in the beginning of their career or in the middle of their career and they're in the film and entertainment or media industries. What do people do? What do people need to do if they want to improve their social media or improve their brand? Can you give me some key pointers?
Show up with value. How networking works today, how social media, Twitter, making a video, this show, how does it help me? How does it impact me? What's in it for me? And making that the top line, the top point. Just like you learn in high school English, you start every paragraph of the essay with, tell me what you're gonna say it, and then tell me what you said. That's the media. That's how communication works. What are you giving me? Just tell me. Make my life better right now. Tell me that one thing.
And so everyone can do that.
They have to.
They don't have to be a media, personality.
You are.
Everyone is.
Yeah.
In this day and age.
Of course, because
you did say you don't need all these lights, you don't need all these cameras. You can have two phones on a.
You can have a phone,
Gorilla
but yeah,
Pod, right?
yeah.
A phone, and
but
just
you
press
want more
record.
people to come to your accounting firm. Start talking about it.
Right.
What do you? How else do you plan to get business? Where's new people? How are people going to hear about you?
Right.
Say something. And what do you stand for? Why would I come to you and not the guy next door? Fame is now your obligation. We all have the camera, the studio is in our pocket.
Yep.
You can't, you're on it all the time. Just start using it.
Fame is an obligation.
Of course. Do you want more people to know you? Do you want to make more money?
Right.
How else are they going to, if I Google you and I can't come up with getting to know you and your ideas and your business from that first page of Google, you fucked up.
Right.
If you're not controlling your Google ability and people getting to know you on Google, what are you doing?
Right. I want to see if there's any questions from our audience. Do we have any questions?
What was the major changes for social media from when that first started? I guess the original one was Twitter had more character accounts. Instagram went from 15 seconds to 1 minute, and Facebook introduced a serious amount of data analytics. But those are kind of minor changes.
Yeah.
With apps to begin with. Do you have any insight or guess of where the major changes are going to be?
So projected change for Instagram, Facebook,
Yes.
all social media. What's next?
What's next? Yeah.
What's
I
next?
think we're kind of seeing this shift already, and obviously if I could predict it, I would love to. But I think I
Could be worth something.
Yeah, it could, but I think we all see it, right? And so let's just talk about it a little bit, which is now Facebook's promoting groups more. This whole idea of what I'm seeing with the talent I'm working with, the power is really in the networking and the back and forth with people. The whole idea of what everything was when the internet first started was just push it, put a video out there and that's it. Now it is really evolving to it really is becoming much more social in that it's really how can people co-create together? That's where we're going. That it's not just me standing up and saying something and it just going out there and how do people hear it, or then it's a more real-time co-creation of things.
Yeah.
And just like I said, press record and those ideas, more listening and tools to listen in and mine the community. The biggest successes I'm having with people are people that are working, instead of going, oh, I need numbers, it's no, I need interactivity. Fame isn't now how many people know me. Fame is how many people do I know? How many people can I touch the lives of and work with and actually give me information? Dude, I'm stealing from my audience. I have 7,000 on Twitter and 20 on Instagram, and they're small numbers compared to famous people, but I know those people.
Yeah.
I'm stealing ideas from them to create new products and services because I want to co-create with and for them to give them what they want. I want to help. Like this whole thing in my company and me online is just, I like this. I want to help you get what you like. So what do you want? And then let's come up with that answer. Like I like listening and creating that content with the audience. And I think we're getting more tools to do that.
Do you think there's a post-social media age coming, or like what's after social media?
Well, I think
because there's always got to be something next.
I think we're just getting social. I think before it was more TV-like. It was like radio and TV where it was just like, blah, it's on. And now it's like, how do you actually interact with people? What's just barely started and we don't really do it, right? It was like when I was doing it in 99, it was like in the chat room and back and forth. That's just gonna enhance as the virtual reality, as bringing people into a space becomes more real, like with the FaceTimes, and it's like really entering a room and talking to people and being like, no, we're all in this together. The last show, so what we did for Grant, the reality show we shot for Grant that launched his network, I just did a reality show with a new client. And what was different with that is we didn't release it like a show, we released it like an event in that it was all about what was happening online. Like people showed up to watch that show and talk to the contestants, and like it really was
so it
like
was live or
no, it was we put the show together. We did it. We unveiled it like a show, but we did it in that time slot. Everyone was there. Me, the hosts, all the contestants.
I see.
So it really was more, literally for the first time in my life.
Everyone's on camera?
No. Everyone was in that chat. Like, had there been more tools to accommodate that, but for the first time for me, the launch of that show, more happened in that chat room than did on camera. Mm-hmm. That chat room and what happened in that chat room
the exchange,
was more important than the show.
The exchange is what's important.
Yeah,
the dialogue that the
interactivity.
show creates. It's
Yeah.
like the show is ephemeral, but it's the impact that's left behind.
And the people interacting around it.
Hank, thank you. Thank you for doing the show. Thank you for the coaching. I'm kind of absorbing it. People can follow you on Twitter, Facebook, what else? Instagram, everything. At Hank Norman, at 2 Market Media. Any further live questions? I think that's it, Hank.
Great.
It was a great show.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you for doing the in crowd.
Thank you for having me in the in crowd. Now I'm in. I feel very in.
You're in.
I appreciate
All
it.
right.
Thanks,
Hank.
brother.